Hello, my name is Matthew, and I thought I would do a tag today. And this is a random 20 questions tag. It was created by Steve Donahue. I watched his video last night, and I watched Jason Harrigan's video this morning. And I actually got to have a Zoom conversation with Jason earlier today. And it was fantastic. I think we spoke for an hour and talked about all sorts of bookish things and booktube related, our experiences being on booktube, and a whole host of other topics. And it was just a pleasure. I couldn't figure out how to record it. I want to eventually have one of those neat split screen videos where I would be on one side and someone else would be on the other side. If you know how to do that, please let me know. I couldn't figure it out in the Zoom app, and I only have my phone. I think it might be easier if I had a computer, but I don't have a computer. And I should also say, I got a terrific response from other booktubers and viewers that want to have Zoom conversations. I have another Zoom chat scheduled later today, and I think 2 tomorrow, and then a bunch next week. So if you're watching this, if you're a booktuber or if you're a viewer and you want to have a Zoom chat, I'll leave my email. You can contact me, and it could be great fun. So just let me know. But I wrote out all the questions, and I'll just read them and then get started. Question number 1. What's the nearest place to you that's so famous everybody knows it, and how near is it? And in Baltimore, it's probably Camden Yards, the baseball stadium. We also have our own Washington Monument in Mount Vernon. So that the famous Washington Monument is in D.C., which is also quite close, about 2 hours away. And also in Baltimore, we have Edgar Allan Poe's grave, which I've visited before. I was close enough to walk to it, so that was interesting too. Question number 2. Have you ever had a paper cut so bad you thought you might die of it? And I don't have any memorable paper cut experiences, but working at a lumber yard, I have had quite a few splinters, and one that was that sticks out more than the most of them. I was helping a customer load up his truck, and it was after business hours, so it was one of the last customers, and I'm still helping them. Everyone else is gone, and I got a splinter in my thumb, and it was more of a shard than a splinter, but it went underneath my thumbnail and past my joint, and like a brace locked up my thumb, so I couldn't articulate my thumb, but I still had to help the customer. So as soon as it happened, I knew that it was going to be trouble, but I had to finish loading up the guy's truck, and I go back to the yard office, and I'm all by myself to inspect what was going on. And the end point, the part that was sticking out, was so thick, maybe a quarter size of a pencil, about the quarter of a diameter of a pencil, and I had to use pliers to pull the splinter out, and it just kept coming out. So that was pretty brutal. I remember my brother, this is years ago, my brother got, he was talking to my dad on the phone, and he had a splinter that was so bad he was hospitalized. My dad's telling me this, And so I call my brother up to see how he's doing, but also to make fun of him, tease him, and saying like, "Oh boy, it must have, you were harpooned," and I'm going on and on, and my brother is saying that it was really bad. He tripped going up the stairs. He was power washing his deck, and he got this really bad splinter in his shin. And I went to visit him, and in this little vial, he had a little piece of splinter in this vial, and he says, "This is what went into my shin." So I get to tease him even more. So about a week goes by, and I find out that my brother went back to the hospital. He was still having complications with his shin and this splinter. Well, it turns out that little nubbin that he had shown me was only the tip, and the actual splinter was this huge long piece that was still uh, buried into his shin for an entire week. And so the next time I see him, he has this great large vial with something that looked much more serious, and I had to kind of eat crow because it was bad. Have you ever found anything genuinely valuable in a used book you bought? And nothing really comes to mind as far as finding a surprise, but one of my favorite things is pulling off one of my books and finding that I've stuck something in there years ago, or a friend left a little surprise that I got to find. There's Andy. Um, Drawings or doodles or little notes or letters, photographs. So many of my books are these time capsules, and I always kind of stick things in there. So I enjoy that. Have you ever read, met, or married Jacques Barzone? And I've not married him, never met him, but I've read a lot, as much as I can get a hold of. I've read quite a few things by Jacques Barzone, and I do have a prop. His book, From Dawn to Decadence, this book, when I was in my early 20s, was an incredible resource. Fantastic reading experience. It's that the best kind of erudition where he's clearly an extremely knowledgeable, well-versed person, scholarly and academic, but he also has the other great talent of communicating easily and being clear and direct. And I don't have any memories of him being pretentious at all. It was just a great book, and like I said, an incredible resource to learn about all sorts of writers in one compact thing. And I also have a book of his translation by Diderot. This has Rameau's nephew and a couple other things. And then I also have a Jacques Barzone reader edited by Michael Murray. And this book has a story that goes along with it. I was in my early 20s, and I'm at this coffee shop where one of the employees there is this bumbling buffoon who worked behind the counter, and he's in college. And it's not that he was just young and uncoordinated and kind of stupid, but that he leaned into it. It was almost like a character trait. I felt that he embraced his buffoonery. But he's talking to me about some subject that he's having in class and asking me if there's any kind of resource that might be helpful to him. And for whatever reason, I can't remember the exact topic, but it was something that I had read in the Barzone reader. And I let him borrow it. I said, "This is a book that I really like. please take care of it, use it, and return it in a relatively timely fashion. So a week goes by, some period of time goes by, and I see this buffoon again, white-faced, and he tells me that was there was an accident with the book, and he proceeds to pull out a different version. I had to buy this again. A book that was completely waterlogged and then dried out to the point where all the pages had swelled up and the book had ballooned. It was nearly spherical and totally unreadable. And he says that he had this accident, and I was livid. I was irate with this person. And I expressed my anger at the time. It was one of those early lessons that it's a much better mindset to know in advance that if you're going to give a book away, it's so much better to not have any expectations. If you have to have the book, if you're worried about it getting damaged, I've learned it's better to just say no. Or if you're going to give somebody a book, it's a much better expectation to think you'll never get it again and be okay with that. So that's that. Aside from your pets, what is the specific non-human animal you see most often? And I'd say around here it's the rabbits. There's whole rabbit families all over the field that I'm on, and the rabbits that are closest to the house are relatively comfortable with me. I have a little table set outside, and sometimes I can sit out there. And in the early spring, or late spring, early summer, when the rabbit family is out and all the little baby bunnies are out, they're not terribly afraid of me. So there are a few special moments where I can sit and there will be 6 or 8 rabbits and baby bunnies that will just lounge around, and we can all be together, and I love that. There's chipmunks. One of my favorite things is seeing a chipmunk that is not in mid-sprint. Most of my life, a chipmunk was nothing more than a blur. So it's always nice to see a little chipmunk sitting still. I like that too. And tons of birds. There are some days where the field will just be covered with crows, or sometimes a flock of geese. Lots of birds around here. Have you ever been inside a cathedral? If more than one, do you have a favorite? I've been to a few cathedrals in New York City that are just fabulous. These towering, grand buildings. We have I don't know if it's a cathedral, it's called the Church of Mary Our Queen in Baltimore. It has this huge hall, and for years I had a friend that's Iranian, and Christmas time was a very sad, lonely time for her. She had a great network of friends and social activities, but during Christmas time, everybody returns to their family. It's a family-oriented holiday, and she found that even her close friends a lot of the time would have family obligations. And so we made we just had a little experience that we would do every Christmas Eve for midnight mass. We would both get all dressed up and go to the Church of Mary Our Queen and sit for mass and listen to all of the beautiful ethereal music, and we would both feel like we were a part of something, and it was a special, memorable experience. We went for years, and I loved it. She's married now, so that's good for her. Let's see. Have you ever been seeing and hearing things delirious? I don't think that I have, but there was an experience at work that was so extraordinary that I nearly made a separate video when it happened a few weeks ago to tell you about it. I'm kind of leery about telling specific work stories on my channel in case it gets back to the lumberyard, but we're 16 minutes in, so it would have to be somebody really investigating. It's a coworker. It's a older woman. She's in her mid-70s, and we've worked together for years. She's a kook, and she's in my office just a few weeks ago, and at the end of our meeting, we were talking about something. She turns to the doorway to leave, and mid-turn, she has an apoplectic fit. Her feet leave the ground. She screams, spasms in horror. And I'm sitting at my desk watching this display. I see it, the whole thing. So she's now white with fear, and she looks at me, and I say, what happened? And she says, well, I just saw a ghost. And I say, so you think that you just saw a ghost right now? She goes, well, I don't think that I saw a ghost. I know that I saw a ghost. And she tells me that there's ghosts all through the office building and that she sees them. And I saw the whole thing. It's just, there wasn't a ghost in the office. There was a lunatic in the office. And I tell this to another coworker, not to gossip. It's a person that I trust and can confide in for all the wacky things that happen at work. And I retell this story. So and so was in my office, had a fit, and thinks that she saw a ghost. And the person that I'm telling this to says, well, did you see the ghost? And I say, no. And she goes, well, that's really strange. If there was a ghost there, you would have seen it too. And there was no ghost there. It's just a person having a fit. So seeing and hearing things. Do you have any blood relatives who read for pleasure? My mom reads. She loves murder mysteries. She liked that series that had like an alphabetic book series with it. It was like A is for this, B is for this. I don't think that the author ever finished the series. I remember my mom lamenting. But she loves murder mysteries. My mom will say, like, I always love it when there's a murder. How many species have you smooched smack dab on the mouth? Probably not many. Cats, dogs, birds. I grew up with birds. We had a cockatoo that would stick his whole head in my mouth. It was a sign that he trusted me. And parakeets. Do you ever listen to the radio? Any favorite program or person? Well, Rush Limbaugh, of course. On my car ride to work, I listen to a college radio station. It's hosted by Towson University. It's WTMD. It's good. It's commercial free and publicly or funded by the public. Have you ever been to the Eiffel Tower, the Leaning Tower of Pisa, the Louvre? I have not. I would love to. I hope if Europe ever allows Americans, I hope one day. um, what little thing do you miss most since since the pandemic? And mostly casual socializing time, my friends, having conversations in person, things like that. And then what do you miss the least because of the pandemic? And there's really no silver lining or added benefit, even all of the aggravations that go into living in a society. I just would be happy if we could uh, at least socialize the way that we used to. What is your relationship with small talk? Hate it like acid? Love it? Merely competent? Um, I don't mind small talk. I will say um, I always have a tinge of disappointment when I see an old friend, somebody that I hadn't seen in years, and we don't make the leap from small talk into meaningful conversation. Um, it's almost like a friendship that's dying. If I haven't seen someone in 2, 3, 5 years, and it's just, well, I've been working. I got that promotion, got divorced, kids won't talk to me, or whatever. Um, I always try to, as much as I can, get any kind of conversation like that to the immediate present and just talk about what exactly happened today. Even if it's someone that I hadn't seen in 10 years, I try to accelerate the conversation to how was your day, how was your morning, what did you have for lunch, specifics. Like when you have a conversation about a specific story, I feel like it's an actual meaningful discussion opposed to generalities. There's not much there, but I don't mind small talk. Have you ever won money at gambling? I've never gambled. I've never been in a casino. I'm not against it, but it doesn't really cross my mind. I remember I was in college. I had no money, basically, and I'm in a convenience store at the ATM, and I have like $40 in the bank account, and I'm taking out 20. And next to me, there's a huge, one of those vending machines that has the scratch-offs, the state scratch-offs, and a whole gang of kids come in, and they start throwing in all this money into the scratch-off machine, and they're scratching their things, and they're winning money. So everyone comes in with like $5, and people are getting $15. The kid gets $20. So I'm holding my 20. I only have another 20 in the bank, and I just think like I'm going to lose it. If I stick this in this machine, I'm not a winner. So I would just like leave. I left grumbling with my money. Do you ever give money or time to charities? More and more, it's friends dying or getting sick or people having accidents or various catastrophes where you have to set up a GoFundMe page just to have enough money to bury your mother, or somebody gets cancer and can't afford it and has to start a FundMe page because even with health insurance they can't afford what they need. It's one of those stark, horrible realities about living in the United States. You have to make these FundMe pages because there's no safety net for the vulnerable, the weak. It's an embarrassment. I'll donate what I can to them, I guess. I tried volunteering at a nursing home, and it didn't work out. Do you have a craft? Knitting, crocheting, woodworking, pottery throwing. I paint, so I guess that counts. Do you talk to yourself when you are alone? I mutter and mumble to myself. They're usually um, criticisms and insults and um, varying berating language. One of the affectations that I got from my father is cursing yourself. He's kind of like, you dumb fuck, stuff like that. I'll mutter that to myself. Um, are you a social queen bee in college? And no, um, I'm not entirely hermetic, um, but I like to have a small group of friends, and um, I'm not extremely outgoing, but I'm also not introverted, so I'm not a social butterfly, I guess. Are you a sunrise person or a sunset person? And recently, I'm an early morning person. I wake up at 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. The cats like to get me up because it's breakfast time. And I don't go off looking for the sun to rise, but I more and more I feel like if I wake up before the sun, if I wake up after the sun is up, it almost feels like I've already wasted the day. I love waking up before the sun and having this very quiet, solitary time. I I try to either read a periodical, an article in a periodical, or poetry before the sun comes up. And that's it. That was 20 questions. At the end of this, it's, um, if you feel like doing it, you're tagged. Steve said everybody's tagged. So if you've gotten this far, let me know what you think. And again, if you're interested in having a Zoom chat, let me know. You can just email me and we can set something up. I'd be happy to. Otherwise, leave a comment if you would like, and thank you for watching.